Hello everybody, welcome back. It is Wednesday, the 10th of April. It's around 20 to 1, quarter to 1 in the early afternoon, and as you can see I'm on the promenade looking towards Blackpool Tower and Central Pier. It's pretty much coming up to high tide time, and it's supposedly a 9.5 metres high tide, so you can see it's a pretty high tide, but it's also a pretty tame high tide. It's a high tide, but it's a tame high tide. Yesterday's was amazing because it was super duper windy. I didn't get to come down and see it. It was my day off, but I was just tired, and I really wish I'd just pushed through and come down and filmed, but I was just too tired. But I did get to see some amazing bits of videos. The waves were pretty much coming all the way over here and all the way to that little wall. Not like gigantic waves, but they were still coming all the way over nonetheless. They were big enough to come all the way to the wall, and in some bits they were going onto the road a bit. I did see some great videos, so after I'd seen them I got a bit mad at myself, thinking, oh, you should have gone down. But you know, if you're feeling too tired or just not in a good place, it's not always possible to push through. So I thought I'd come to film today's high tide. You can see how high it is because it's actually coming all the way in the steps, and it doesn't often, actually the tide itself doesn't often reach the steps, but because it's quite tame, the waves aren't coming over. The wind is getting up a bit, and we've probably got another 10 minutes before it's at its highest, but I still don't think that it's gonna come all the way over the top. But you can see it's completely covering the lower prom. I mean, yeah, you can see a bit wavy to it, but it's not like a lethal high tide. If you were stood there, you probably wouldn't get washed over. Although I definitely would not recommend standing there. For one thing, it'd be freezing. So yeah, here I am today on the prom. I am working this afternoon, so as soon as I finish doing a couple of videos today, I'm going to head on home as fast as I can and grab a quick bit of lunch and then go to work. But the weather is so flipping miserable, isn't it? Well, we're in April now. We're supposed to be like spring. You know, spring definitely hasn't sprung today. It's like typical Blackpool weather. I'd say typical British weather, but it's more typical Blackpool weather. How we get like one nice-ish day, and then we'll get a couple of rotten days, then one okay day, then a few really dull days. But yeah, this is pretty typical Blackpool weather. We don't get any of the really massive big storms or snows or anything. I mean, we have occasionally, but very rarely we get those things. And most of the time we just get wind and rain. But breezy Blackpool, despite our somewhat inclement weather, I still wouldn't choose to live anywhere else, because I absolutely love living by the sea. This is mostly the calmest part of the promenade as well. When you have the Central Pier area, and the bit near Central Pier, there, just on either side of this pier, it kind of is the calmest part of the prom. Once you get to North Pier, obviously the waves get a little bit bigger, and also at South Pier, I remember growing up, if we ever went on the beach near Harrowside, everybody always used to say be careful of the tide coming in because it comes in at a weird angle. And back then at Harrowside it was very easy to get cut off by the tide, and the lifeguards would blow the whistles at you and they'd be like, come on, move. Because I remember my older sister. She once told me a tale. She was around 15, 16 at the time, and she'd gone sunbathing near Haverside, and they noticed the sea coming in, and then the lifeguard was frantically blowing a whistle directed at my sister and a friend and a couple of the people, and they were like, move it, go, go now. They were really like proper yelling, and my sister went to take the most direct path because she noticed the tide had just about cut her off. She went to take the most direct path, and the lifeguard was like, no, not that way, the other way, and he pointed to a different angle what he instructed them to walk. So they obviously followed the lifeguard's instructions, but my sister said very quickly we were up to our armpits in water, holding our stuff up our heads, but all the stuff got wet, and she said she could feel the current because the sea had come in that fast. So I guess it's entirely possible to get caught out by the tide. But it's also, it can be really scary to somebody that can't swim, because I work as a swimming instructor and I've done that for many years, and I have not taught adults for many years, but I used to teach adults, and I've seen people being really terrified when they're just in the small pool that's barely past their knees, just up to their thighs, because if you're scared of water, you're scared of water. And I'd imagine being in the sea, if it's up to your knees or thighs, would be much worse for a non-swimmer than being in the controlled environment of the swimming pool, because one, it's colder, and two, you can see, you know, colder, bigger, and you can feel the current around you, and the whole experience could be scary, especially if you're new to the seaside and you've never been in the sea before. So I can totally understand somebody getting really scared if they're in water that isn't very deep. And a lot of people don't seem to think of that, but I always say stuff like, if you're scared of something, you know, if you've got a phobia, you could be scared of spiders or snakes, or in my case, frogs. I have a thing about frogs. And if you're scared of something, you're scared of it, you can't help yourself. Even if your brain knows you're not in any immediate danger, that doesn't really help to negate feeling terrified sometimes. But anyway, let's enjoy the rest of our prom walk. Yeah, today's high tide is pretty darn tame, because yesterday's was really just hitting that wall. But there's got to, I saw a few cool videos, and there's got to be lots more, so just because I didn't film it, there'll be definitely other people that have filmed it, so I'm sure you'll find a video if you want to see it. You just get this boring, tame walk with me today, but it's still fun. Past sea life there, Golden Mile Amusements. The lifeboat house, it's still called that in my head, the new lifeboat house, even though it's been there for over 20 years. But in my head, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a new lifeboat house. I like the old one better, and I did like the old one better. Look, 1996 that was built, so 28 years. Almost 30 years. No, 1998. Beg your pardon? Beg my pardon, I've got terrible eyesight. I thought that said 96, but it says 98. So 26 years it's been there for. But yeah, I do prefer the old building, because I really like the old lifeboat house. Yeah, I think now it is time for me to bid you guys a good day and finish this video. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do. Just tap the like button before you go. And if you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. And I will see you soon in the next video. Goodbye.